Hi there. If you are a parent, especially a mom, you probably know this. The moment you become a mom, like immediately, sometimes while you're still pregnant, people just start judging you and they start giving you unwanted parenting advice. So, from the teenager who doesn't have any kids to the homeless person down the street, everyone feels like it's their God given duty to let you know how to raise your kids. So, complete strangers will come to you in the park and tell you should put socks on your baby because otherwise you'll get very cold, and or you shouldn't hug your child because or when they get hurt because then they get a sissy, like they don't know how to, they have to get up, things like that. And the amount the huge amount of wrong parenting advice I've received over the years is just, I cannot even tell you everything. But for instance, when my son was a newborn and I was still in the hospital, someone told me you shouldn't let your son sleep on your chest, and I was doing skin to skin content because babies can be very manipulative, and they learn that that you let them sleep in your chest, and they will always want to sleep in your chest. So you shouldn't let them do that. Otherwise, you will never be able to sleep relaxed. And guess what? My son is 4 years old and we bed share. I don't care. I want to be connected to my child. And not only all the, everything that research says about the importance of skin to skin contact, right? But I enjoy it. And that's why I am so passionate about gentle parenting or positive discipline, however you want to call it. It's because I know that most parents want to have a loving, connected relationship with their children because it's part of human nature. We all want to feel connected. It's just, connection is part of our race's survival, right? The human species needs connection to survive. So it's just, it's innate in us. It's just a normal thing. And we keep, as parents, listening to advice which tell us the exact opposite. You go and punish that child. Spanking. I remember my son was 8 months old and someone told me, a slap on the wrist doesn't hurt. And they learn. Guess what they learn? They learn that you are mean to them. They don't even understand why. An 8 month old doesn't even understand what they did wrong, right? They might throw food on the floor because they want to find out what happens when the food goes to the floor. It's not because they are bad kids. And there is this idea in society, unfortunately, that kids are bad. Kids are bad, kids are mischievous, kids are, they try and, you know, make us do things, and they are manipulative and they are bad kids. The amount of times you tell a kid, you're being a bad kid, you're a bad boy. You shouldn't even tell that to a dog, right? But you tell that to a kid. And people just do things to their kids that they wouldn't do even to their mailman. They spank their kids. They force their kids to stay in a room by themselves, punishing them. They humiliate them. Look at what you did. You are worthless. You always do shit. You know, and kids really start believing that, oh, I am just really I'm a bad kid, and when you start telling your kids things very, very often, and they start believing it, and especially in the first 6 years of life, that's when we form our limiting beliefs, our core beliefs, right? They start believing that, they will start behaving accordingly, right, to your expectations of them. If you tell them they are a bad kid, they start believing that. And what do bad kids do? They do bad things. It's not because it's just because they're a bad kid. Like what I mean. Why do you want it? But anyway, I had no idea about positive parenting. It's not like I was enlightened, because there is this idea that the moment you get pregnant, lightning strikes you and you know everything about parenting, and you just do it. Just do it. If you want to drive a car, you need to study and learn and do all that to drive a car. But if you want to parent, you just do it. It's just so crazy, right? The way that we are, that indoctrinated, is that being a parent is something that just happens, and then it's just you just do it. You learn as you go. And would you learn as you go for, even the tiniest things? If you want to, the most basic jobs you need to learn always before you do them, right? And parenting is one of the most demanding jobs, and it has so many moving pieces, and you really need to understand, about childhood development and childhood psychology, and you don't need to be, you know even to put a child seat on a car. I feel like sometimes I need to be an engineer just to put a child seat, and yeah, it is a hard job, and no one ever taught me. And I thought, I need to learn this, yeah, because I was getting so much wrong advice that I knew in my heart was wrong advice, that I didn't want to follow, because I didn't believe that my son was bad kid, or that he was trying to. I didn't believe my newborn baby was trying to manipulate me. I knew in my heart those were all things like don't make any sense. But I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn based on science. And again, like most people, I had no idea about parenting until I became a mom, because I think that most people without children, they are always perfect parents, right? Before you have kids, you see parents in the mall with screaming kids, and you're like, oh my God, awful parents. When when I become a mom, oh, that will never happen. They will be in line and whatever. And then you become a mom, and then you become one of those parents that people are judging at the mall, right? And that was happening to me, because parenting is really demanding, and it pushes you really to your limits. And what happened was, because I didn't know a lot of self-regulation skills, because most of us grew with authoritarian parenting, and we didn't learn growing up how to self-regulate. It's more like go and cry, and if you cry, you'll get a headache, so just stop crying. Why are you crying? Even worse, some people were told, if you don't stop crying, I'll give you a reason to cry about, right? So we were all raised in a way that uh, we have to deal with our own emotions by ourselves. So when I became a mom, being pushed to my limits, not sleeping, because yeah, you don't sleep in the beginning. It's like it's like torture. It's like what they do to those prisoners that they torture, right? Like complete torture. You don't sleep, and at the same time, there's a crying baby all the time. And while my son was a baby, I still managed to, self-regulate, and because you have this tiny little cute little baby. But then as they grow, and when my son was about 7 months more or less, that's when they start having those, challenging behaviors that you are taught that they are doing this because they are bad kids and they need to be punished in order to learn. That's how I was raised. So again, at 8 months old, someone told me, slap on the wrist and they'll learn and doesn't hurt them. And I knew in my heart, this is not true. I don't want to, I don't want to slap my kid. I don't want to do that. I want to help my kid through connection. But I didn't know how to do that. And I started becoming a screaming mom. I started being like, look at what you did. Oh no, look at that. And I didn't want to do that. I was like, oh my God, here it is. This tiny little person that I love the most in the whole world, that I would die for, but I cannot stop screaming at him. What's wrong with me? So I decided, okay, I need to learn this. The same way that if I want to learn how to drive a car, I will, go to a driving school and ask them to teach me. I need to go to someone who can teach me, because I don't want to follow this advice that people are giving me that I know in my heart are not good advice, right? Because they are not good advice, right? Spanking, humiliating kids, screaming at kids is never a good thing. There are so many studies that show that negative discipline has so many lasting effects that really, they like, there's a study that shows that spanking actually alters your brain. Yeah, it has effects on your academic life. It has effects on your social emotional skills. It's your kids who get negative discipline. As they grow, they are more likely to suffer from things like depression. And I mean, there's so many studies out there that show that negative discipline is bad. And I don't want to even, go through this because it's not something that you need research to tell you. You know that in your heart, you don't want to do that to your child, right? I knew that in my heart. I don't want to do this to my child. I want to be able to discipline my child in a way that is through love and connection and support, because he's not a bad kid. He's just acting age appropriately. He's learning about the world, and it needs a bit of guidance, and I want to learn how to guide him. So in my search, I came across a certification from the Positive Discipline Association that was for kindergarten teachers, which was early childhood certified positive discipline early childhood educator. So that's what I did. That was my first certification. And I was not a kindergarten teacher. I didn't want to become a kindergarten teacher. God knows I was having a hard time with one kid. I definitely didn't want to deal with 3 million kids. So I just did it because it was a really, very deep curriculum that went through all what is developmentally appropriate, childhood psychology. It went deep. And I'm a person that I like to learn a lot about something. It's just the way I am. I'm kind of a control freak. So I did it, and yeah, I was like, this is amazing. And it started changing my life. It started changing my parenting. And it was amazing, being able, because especially with positive parenting, it's one thing that is interesting is that you start seeing changes gradually, mostly in you, but also a lot in your child. But it's when they become around 3 years old, 2 or 3 years old, that you really start collecting the fruits. Because in the beginning, when they are 1 year old, even 2 year old, they cannot really be rationalized with. So it feels like you're like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm going to believe, I'm going to trust the process, and you feel good about that way of discipline yourself, because you feel like, okay, this is the right way to do it. But they keep on doing the behavior because they are still, they are still very young. They still don't really understand the concepts. So they are learning that slowly. But by the time they are 2, 3 years old, that's when you really start seeing it, that they start modeling what you were teaching them. And they start doing it by themselves. And the more you practice positive parenting, the less you have to do it, because they just start, it just starts getting more and more automatic for your children. So I found that amazing. And I was in love with positive discipline and all the research that supports it. And at the time, I learned also that what happens in early childhood really shapes the person you become as an adult. Your beliefs, the way you see the world, the way you see other people, and the way you see yourself. That's why parenting in early childhood is so important, because it can really impact those core beliefs, So I learned that you can change that. You can reparent yourself. And I was like hooked. Okay, because I feel like parenting is a personal growth journey. If you let it, you can really grow by parenting. And I think most people always grow when they become parents. So I then did the certification on using positive discipline to reparent ourselves. And it's called Encouragement Consulting. And it was amazing. And it really showed me, it let me understood better about myself, like where are these things coming from. It also gave me more empathy for my parents and for my grandparents, because my grandparents raised my parents in a certain way because they were raised in a certain way. And because my parents were raised in a certain way, they raised me in a certain way. And because they raised me in that way, I'm now raising my son in a different way. So it's all connected, And when you are able to connect all those dots, it just brings so much clarity into who you are and why you are this way and how to change yourself. So it really helped me grow. And I absolutely loved that course. And then I was completely hooked on positive discipline. I wanted to continue doing positive and being surrounded by positive discipline every single day because I realized it was making me such a better mom. And I thought, I always wanted to live a life with purpose. I my career has been, I feel my previous career, I feel like it was a lot what I was supposed to do instead of what I felt like doing, if that makes sense. And I always felt like I wanted to do something with purpose. And when I discovered positive discipline, I realized that this is amazing, because every time I help a parent, it's not just the parent I'm helping. So I'm helping that, let's say, that mom. She's feeling better as a mom. She doesn't go to bed feeling like a crappy parent. She connects to her child, and she feels, she's becoming the parent she really wants to be. And that's just, it's just such an amazing feeling, because we all feel like crap. If you mindlessly react to your emotions, if your child does something and you scream at your child, in that moment, there is an immediate sensation of, there's that release of anger, and you feel a momentary sense of, okay, this is good. Okay, now it's done. He deserved it, But then you feel like crappy afterwards, right? Because you see your kid crying, because you feel disconnected to your child, and it just kind of ruins your day also. So negative discipline is not just bad for your child, it's also bad for you, right? So when you start practicing positive discipline, you start seeing so many changes in yourself. Like, I feel like I'm a calmer person. I am, I am slowly the mom I want to be. I am not perfect. There are no perfect parents, and you will never be a perfect parent. But I get better, and I connect more and more to my child, because the more you practice positive discipline, the more you feel that connection, because every moment is an opportunity for connection. Every time you are disciplining your child, you are connecting, because you connect before you correct. So it's an amazing journey, and makes my parenting experience so much better. It's more enjoyable, and I enjoy my child more, like I cherish the moment I spend with him, So every time going back, sorry, I start. Every time I help a mom, I'm not just helping that mom, I'm also helping that child. Because that child will have a very different way of growing up, and they will thrive so much more growing up. They will become, research shows that children that are raised through positive discipline are better students. So they actually, into high school, you can see, if you practice positive discipline in early childhood, you can see effects. So studies show that children up to the age of high school, they have better academic outcomes. That's how amazing it is, like you think, what does this have to do with the academics? But the kids are able to concentrate more. They are able to, imagine if you have secure attachment to your parents. You know that your parents are not going to go anywhere. They will always be there for you. They love you unconditionally. So when your parents leave you with your grandmother or at kindergarten, you don't immediately start panicking. Oh my God, my mom is leaving me. No, mom, don't go. You're like, oh, okay, I'm just going to explore this. This looks like fun. And whenever I need, mom is here, because she will be always here, So you have this ability to explore the world, So it's so different, when they are teenagers and they start having problems at school, or social, being a teenager is so hard, right? They don't feel like they have to deal with all these feelings by themselves, and there's no one they can turn to, which can lead to really unhealthy behaviors, unhealthy substances, unhealthy friends, and unhealthy behaviors even, right? So addictions and self-harm and so many things, or even just depression. There are so many things that can happen when you have to deal with all your emotions by yourself, and those emotions feel huge. And children, even teenagers, they are not adults, they are not fully developed yet. So for them, things are much harder than for us because they don't have the skills yet to deal with all those things. So when your teenager is feeling all that, and they can come to you and be like, Mom, I'm feeling this and that. What an awesome feeling is that, right? For them to be able to know that they have someone to come to know that if they are in trouble, instead of their first thought being, oh my God, my parents can never find out about this, which most of us felt like that growing up, right? They will be like, I'm going to go to my mom because, I'm sure I can go to her. She will, she will be there for me. She might not love what I did, of course, but she will be there for me and she will support me. And she will help me, deal with this and brainstorm a solution, and things will, I can go to her. I'm not alone. And this is what you want, right? You want as your child is an adult and they start having their, first problems with becoming parents themselves or their marriage or whatever, that they can come to you for help. So all these things, I'm changing that child's life, and I'm changing all the lives that that child interacts with. Because a child that is raised through negative discipline is much more likely to become a bully or, to treat others the same way. Because when I am angry and I feel like first of all, I see how that it's okay, right, to scream and hit people that are wicked than us, right? Because my parents do that to me. And second, I learn that I have to do things by myself. I have to deal with my things by myself. And if that kid is annoying me, I'm just going to go there and grab his toy because, or they also can become one of those kids that is afraid of everything. In any case, the way they will interact with other children will be much different from a kid who is raised with positive discipline, who goes to the other kid and shows empathy. Oh, you're sad. Can I help you? And I'm helping also that other child. So it's like a snowball. And yeah, I just love what I do. So I just wanted to share a little bit about my parenting journey and how I became a parent educator. And yeah, I love, if you watch this, I think it's amazing that you did, and I hope that I have also helped you a bit. So leave me a comment and let me know if I did. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.